The number you have reached, 911, has been changed to a non-published number.
You're listening to UCW Radio. In your face.
Welcome to another segment of the UCW Radio Show. This is your host, Lou, a.k.a. Falcon Coparis, and I want to thank all of our listeners for the continued support. We appreciate it. We have some great guests coming on the show, and I'm proud to be able to provide the platform for them to tell their stories, because our listeners, we're getting great feedback, and I love it. We're getting great feedback for the shows that we're having, and we're just ramping up. We're increasing syndication. We're trying to do a lot of different things, and some stuff I really can't speak about because they haven't we haven't come to terms yet. So we're kind of under restrictions of talking about it. But the one thing that I can talk about today, before we get before we bring our guests on the show, is that as of this morning, we are the official group, the UCW Radio Show, the UCW Radio. We're going to be hosting the Ultimate Body Radio Show. Now, it's exciting because the Ultimate Body Radio Show is connected to the Ultimate Body Television Reality Show, which is created by David Lyons. He's the producer of Hog Heaven and Creepers, and then also in this project, which is pretty good, which is pretty cool, I think, is that you have Lauren Alvarez. She's from Meet the Folks, The Surreal Life, The Osbournes. She produced these shows. So if you think those shows were interesting, what do you think's going to happen here? You're going to have, I think, between 23, 26 people in a house competing for the ultimate body. And it's not a bad deal, because you see these reality shows out there that really are ridiculous. And but you see a lot of these reality show people that go on the reality shows, all of a sudden they become reality show stars. They're touring around, they're making money. Well, guess what? This is your opportunity to be that person, but for a better cause, for something better for yourself, because you can actually build a career on this. If you go on the show, you compete, you win. First of all, you have the opportunity of making, you make about 50 grand. Plus, you get some travel packages. You get to meet Bob Cicciarello, Rich Gaspari, Marcia Prince, and Mr. Universe Doug Burns. Of course, you get to meet all the producers and everything, and at some point, probably way in the beginning, you get to meet me. Hey, how do you like that? So a lot of great things are happening with that, and we're really excited about it. But I need to let you know that there is an open casting call for the show, and that's going to be held on Saturday, October 17th, from 11 in the morning till 6 at night. And that's going to happen at the Ramada Orlando Celebration Resort and Convention Center. And let me just give you additional information with that, so that we're on the same page, because I do think this is an awesome opportunity for anyone that really wanted to get on a real reality show and do something great. You see The Biggest Loser, you see these reality shows that are doing good for people. This Ultimate Body, this is the first time in history that a person, because if you get involved in bodybuilding, you will not, the chances of you making money or getting the recognition for doing what you're doing on the amateur level is probably very slim to none. It's only when you start going national, you start getting recognition, you start getting endorsement deals and things of that nature. Okay, on this level, you compete. You're being trained. You have a professional trainer training you. You have a chiropractor. You have a doctor. You have a medical staff. You're getting vitamins for free. You're being fed this stuff. You get free food, and you have somewhere to live for X amount of weeks. I think it's about 8 or 10 weeks, something of that nature. So it becomes very interesting. And it's a good opportunity, and for those that are in the show, you're going to start getting publicity as you're going along. The winner, you get 50 grand. You get a spread in Muscle Mag International. Okay, not a bad deal. Not a bad deal to become famous as an amateur bodybuilder, but you can actually go and do greater things and probably get movie roles. I mean, things have happened. We've had reality show stars on the show before, on our show, on the UCW radio show, that are touring the country, and they're getting paid very well for their appearances. So this is your opportunity. If you want to be a reality show star, here you go. Give it a shot. The Ultimate Body TV reality show, the website to get the information, go to theultimatebodytvshow.com. That's theultimatebodytvshow.com. And let me finish giving you that address. It's the Ramada Orlando Celebration Resort and Convention Center. That's located at 635 West Earl Bronson Highway. That's Kissimmee, Florida, 34747. And you can go to the site and get the phone number and get all that other information if you want to get involved with it. I personally think it's a great opportunity. We wouldn't attach ourselves to the Ultimate Body if we didn't see it having the potential of longevity. Just like you see, Big Brother, Biggest Loser, this reality show, that reality show. The good ones, they have longevity. I think Big Brother was going on 11 seasons. Okay, and this right here, the Ultimate Body, this is the first season. So you have a chance to do something for the first time. Okay, and there can never be a first time to get on the show. So this is your opportunity to do that, and I think it's a great opportunity. And that's about it. You have, as I said, Rich Gaspari, Bob Cicciarello, Marcia Prince, Doug Burns. You have great producers, and we're going to be doing the radio show, so you'll get updates on UCW Radio on what's going on. We're going to have interviews with some of the cast, crew, and people that just as we move along and give updates and the whole 9 yards. So the show is getting an enormous amount of support from the bodybuilding community, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Now I need to let sponsors, advertisers, marketers, people of that nature that want to tie in to the UCW radio show. There's no better time than now. We have a lot of things going on. The Ultimate Body TV show, we have that going on. We're going to be doing a radio show. We have a couple of the projects that are lining up right now, and we will be announcing that shortly. We can't announce it now, but trust me, it's pretty impressive, I think. And we have a lot of things going on. So you can go to ucwmagazine.com and find out how you can tie in to the UCW radio show as we continue to grow syndication and do these special little things that will get us, a lot of exposure, which for a sponsor of the show is not a bad thing. And in just a little while, we're going to have a lady on the show. She's done some amazing things, but you won't see her on television. You won't see her on the cover of a magazine. She works behind the scenes. She actually produces the concerts that you go to, whether it be for a fundraiser, benefit, even private concerts that you see the performers on there doing their thing, and you see the end result. This is the lady that does the stuff beforehand, which I find to be very interesting, because to see the journey of the person that's working behind the curtain, the great odds behind the curtain, making everything happen, to me is interesting. It's like, you drive a car, you get in a car, hey, you turn the key, you drive, right? But have you ever been curious on how the car runs? What's going on with the engine? What happened there? I know I am. So this is what we're bringing to you today. And again, one other thing that I need to mention before I continue, any of our listeners, if they are in the Atlanta area or in the outskirts of the Atlanta area, on September 17th, you have a unique opportunity to be a part of a red carpet event. And so make it down to the Call My Theater. I don't know the exact location, but it's a red carpet event for Lynch Mob, the movie that's being released on Friday, but they're having the red carpet event on Thursday, the 17th. Okay, and it's going to be a unique situation because you have Rachel and Scott Stamper. They are great producers. They're great writers, screenwriters, and this is their project. And you also have the director is going to be there. You have Tony Darrow from The Sopranos and Goodfellas fame, and I think Keith Sweat's going to be there, and a few other Atlanta celebrities are going to be around. So it gets a little interesting, and this is a unique opportunity for any of our listeners that are in the area, because these people that are going to be there, they came together for a project that that really wasn't money generating. It was money expenditure in the beginning, and now it was a labor of love. That's what it comes down to, and they did it. It got done, and now they're moving on to releasing the movie, and it's going to be released in about 100+ theaters, Carmike theaters. So that is very interesting, and I think that is fantastic. So if you have a chance, go down and see them. Take pictures, you have photo ops, get their autographs, so on and so forth, because I doubt that you're going to have this opportunity in 6 months to a year to meet a lot of these great people and actually, take a picture with the screenwriters and the director and everything, because they are on their way up. The official website for the movie is lynchmobmovie.com. Check it out, and trust me, you won't be disappointed. The movie seems to be fantastic. Now, I have to let our listeners know something else, that if you want to get in touch with us, you can do so. If you have a question or comment or something of that nature for any of our guests, feel free to call us and we'll pose the question to our guest. Just go to ucwmagazine.com and you'll see who we're going to have on the show. And again, it's a good way for you to be a part of the show, and we encourage our listeners to be a part of the show. And so just feel free to call. The number is 323-952-4369. That's 323-952-4369. So give us a call, and we want to hear from you. And again, I did mention the sponsorship opportunities. I have to mention it again because I think it's so important, because I know the UCW radio show, where we're going. And this is just a great opportunity for sponsors that want to tie in to the UCW radio show to do it now, as opposed to waiting till later on, because we're into relationship building, and this is the opportunity to build that relationship. And that's why I brought it up again. The website is ucwmagazine.com. And if you're on Twitter, you can shoot me out some questions or comments, things of that nature. My Twitter name is Louis Velazquez. That's LouisVelazquez. So follow me and tweet away. Now, without further ado, let's patch in the woman behind the scenes, the lady that makes the events happen for fundraisers and for special events. When you see these celebrities, these singers on stage performing, you ever wonder why? Hey, how'd they get there? And how did everything look so nice? How did everything go off so nicely? Well, she's the one that puts it all together, and she has worked with some of the best. She is from Starlink Productions, and this is Katrina Berg Sussmeier. Katrina, it's great to have you on the UCW radio show. Thanks for being with us this morning. It's great to have you here.
Lou, thanks. It's good to be here.
Oh, excellent. We always appreciate the time that our guests put aside. The time zone is different for me and you at this point because I'm in travel mode, but that's okay. We still do the show. It doesn't much matter.
Okay.
Katrina, I want to give our listeners just some broad strokes on who you are, in case they're not familiar with you. You've been producing concerts since about '91.
Exactly, huh?
Right? Yeah, you worked with some of the greats such as Tony Bennett, Stevie Wonder, James Earl Jones, Brian McKnight, and the late great Gregory Hines. And you and I were speaking about that before. Great guy. I mean, I had the pleasure of meeting him, and he was just a sweetheart. God rest his soul. But you've accomplished a lot of things in your career and your life. And what I want to do, I want to talk about your journey to this point, because that is what is of interest to me, and that's what our listeners want to hear. So why don't you tell me how did you get involved in the entertainment industry? Because that's basically what you're doing.
Yeah. Oh, it's absolutely what I'm doing. I'm in the entertainment business, and it is a funny story, like any story starts. So it's a funny story, and this is how it started. I was in administration my whole career in medical and other businesses. Basically glorified secretary running things, and I became a groupie. I started for a certain artist I won't name, and I started waiting by stage doors. I wasn't a successful groupie if you're thinking about the end result, but I got to know him and his family, and got to be friends, and I got to be at some point a personal assistant, and then I became his tour manager. I don't want to really say who that was because it kind of embarrasses him.
No, that's okay.
Because of the groupie part.
Yeah, you don't need to get into that
major,
stuff.
He's a legend though, and it was great. After I became his tour manager, got a little too involved in his life and backed off. From there, I started working for a company in the Bay Area here of California, south of San Francisco, that booked and produced fundraisers.
Okay.
And I stayed with him for 2 years, and it seemed like about 10 years. He was a very dishonest person, and we always had to field subpoenas and sheriffs coming by to serve, and he was always ripping people off, and I just couldn't. 2 years was about as long as I could take, and I thought, I could do this so much better. I never wanted to be self-employed, but
avoiding jail is always a good thing.
Yeah, it really was. It was very stressful, and people would get fired because this guy would steal their money, and he'd say things like, "Hey, Paul McCartney, I talked to Paul McCartney this morning, and he's real excited to do your job. You got to send 10,000 more, and he'll hold the date for you." And this guy'd just be, snorting it.
Oh,
it was horrible,
bad.
and it was very stressful, and I just thought I could do this better. I could serve these people better. So I opened Starlink in '98, and started doing basically just fundraisers, and I've branched out from there. But I'm very honest. I feel good about what I do. I make people money, whether it's United Negro College Fund or American Lung Association or a hospital in Toledo or anybody.
Right.
I help them make money, and we branched out from there to do promotions and independent concerts around the world.
But you know what I find interesting, and whenever we have a guest on the show, people, anyone that we have on the show, they've accomplished great things in their lives, even in their own immediate life. You went from being, as you said, but forget about the groupie stuff, but you went from working for a company, and you went through some rough times, so you kind of like got all that, you got a quick lesson on how not to do business.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, and thus avoiding having the issues that your former employer had. So you learned all that. You went through all that nonsense, and you for yourself, you said, "Wow, you know what? Yeah, you can do it better than he can, but more importantly, you can do honest business and still make money." There's nothing wrong with making money, but being honest is always a good way to go, I think.
Yeah, I feel proud of myself. I don't feel afraid somebody's going to catch me at something. I don't feel. He never talked to Paul McCartney. Never. He couldn't get Paul McCartney on the phone. And I couldn't live afraid like that. I'm proud of the work I do, and I actually do the work. I don't just lie to people.
He probably met Paul McCartney. It could have been the guy around the corner, maybe.
Paul McCarthy at the Dodge dealership that morning.
Yeah, that's the guy that's picking the garbage at the can. All right, that guy. He did speak to him, yes.
Actually, what I'm talking about here, Paul McCartney actually sued this guy and one other artist too for involving him on a scam that the guy ended up getting sued on.
Oh.
So Paul McCartney's manager, and I can't remember who else's manager, this has been in '97, '98, actually sued this guy and went to court and testified against him.
Wow, that's horrible. So, see, that's a horrible thing, because in your line of business, if you're looking to book an artist and you don't book them, and you're doing all that stuff, you're basically causing damage to people that you don't know. So why are you going to do that? To go and rob money from somebody? That doesn't make any sense.
Talk about bad karma, I know.
Yeah.
And it screws you over in the entertainment business. I had to start off my business by calling and saying, yes, I was an ex, but I got away, you know, it's first opportunity. I want you to know I'm honest and da 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 da.
Right.
And people agents and managers appreciated me calling and saying, "Oh, I'm glad you distanced yourself because I remembered you from when you worked with X, and we wouldn't have wanted to do business with you." So.
Oh, but that's good. You know, honesty is the best policy. You know,
it is so much easier, isn't it?
Yeah, no, without it,
so
because
it's less to remember.
well, you put your head on the pillow at night, you go to sleep, and as long as you know you try to do your best for people, that's all that matters.
Right.
You know, like with anything. So now, Starlink Productions, you guys, you produce concerts, you do all this stuff. You know, tell us everything that you do, because I found it interesting, because when we first got in touch, it was on another premise. And but then when we found out what it is that you did, it became more interesting. That the other premise didn't even matter. It was more about what you guys do that mattered.
Right.
You know, because
we're not agents. We're not. I do manage a couple of smaller acts that you know, it doesn't really matter, and that's not what we're here to talk about. But we're not agents like an agency, and we're not middle agents. We don't mark up talent. We book and produce. We're really good as far as relationships with agencies and managers, and we have. We grease easy in the entertainment business that way. So what people will do, they'll go to our website and fill out the information request form, or they can email, or they can call. What we need to know from them is where's your event? Do you have a venue set up? City, date, how much money do you have to spend on talent? And let me backtrack a little bit on that. On our site, we have budget information. So you can establish a budget, so you can figure out. We have a handout. All these things are free on our site, a handout that says production expenses, and it's things people never think about. They'll call me and say, "Hey, we have $500. Who can we get?" I'm like, "You can't even fly anybody to your..."
Yeah.
You know, you have to think about airfare. If you want a whole band, you have maybe 35, 40 people. If it's a big band, you know, with a tour manager and the private nurse and the people that every John and Jane Doe don't think about. It talks about hospitality. They're going to want food and drink at X number of times. It talks about insurance and backline, which is amplifiers and microphones and pianos and drum kits, and there's all that on top of the artist's fee. So we have all those helpful things on our site to help plan a budget. So we'll ask your budget. How much do you want to spend just on talent? I'm not talking on air. I'm not talking on anything else.
Yeah, so is this
marketing, anything.
Yeah, this is minus the airline to fly the people down there, to put them up in a hotel, to put food in their stomach, and so on and so forth. I mean, right. Yes, and this. I mean, obviously, there's a whole bunch more beyond that has to do with the event and whoever has the event and whatever they're doing. But you give everyone this information, so it makes it easier for them to figure out what they can do and they can't do.
Right. And hopefully, I don't want anybody, and this comes from the working for that ex-guy before, too. I don't want anyone to be surprised. I don't want anyone to have a bill at the end of this and say, uh-oh, we didn't expect this. I want everybody to know ahead of time. Okay, before we get into this, before you sign anything, remember there's this, this, and this. And that's the goal of having all that information up on our site.
Right.
So I asked the budget. I'll ask the date, the venue, the genre. What genre or genres do you want? Rock? Do you want classic rock, country, comedy? What do you want? You know, and we'll get them a list, a custom list of who's in their budget and their genres. And then they can, if they have committee meetings or whoever the decision makers are, they can come back to me with a wish list. I can get, you know, up to 25 availabilities, exact quotes for their date, for, you know, in the routing. Another way I can do things is give me your zip code and your date, and I'll tell you who's coming through, and we'll try to tag onto that tour.
Okay. That
so
saves them money.
We might not have to pay air, right?
Ah, good thinking. Katrina
so we try to
like
we try to get things as cheap as possible for our clients, because we live on repeat business, and if you do well, we do well. So.
But now you put everything together from A to Z.
Exactly.
I mean, you actually produced the concert. You
Actually,
produced.
and one thing about producing a concert I've noticed when I've worked with other company, like a local company, they want there to produce because they've always been there before, and then they bring a big act in. They have me, and the first year they have their little local company that did Tommy the Magician the year before.
Mm-hmm.
The other people I've ever worked with from other companies disappear. Oh, I don't want to be in their way, or I don't want, whatever their excuse is. They disappear and they go have a drink or whatever, get their hair done. I'm right there in case there's a problem. I'm always in the way. Sometimes people think, what is she doing just sitting there? Because I've got 2 big binders full of all the riders and everything that's supposed to be going on and the time frames and the drop times and I know when everything's going to happen, and I'm just there making sure these things happen, and that's a lot of sitting and reading, but I'm right there. If anything happens, I'm right there, and I jump on it and fix it. And even someone told me from John Fogerty's band, his tour manager told me last May, he says, I can't believe I forgot what it was like to work with someone who really cares what the show was about. And I said, well, that's nice, thank you. And I know that most people do just disappear, and hey, too bad there's not enough people. You asked for 20 people to help you unload, and there's 5. Oh, well, I don't know what, you better get it done. I paid you. And I'm not that way at all. Let's make everybody happy. Let's get it done right.
Well, that's the right way to do business. Yeah. And the thing, the thing that I find, and I'm just going to backtrack a little bit. The thing that I find interesting about your journey is that, I mean, you went through some adversity. You went through, I mean, your past employment, but you, instead of quitting the business, you made it a point to say, okay, yeah, I can do this. So it wasn't just you starting this company, Starling Productions, to make to get involved in the entertainment industry. That's one thing. That's one thing that, I mean, that's hard enough to deal with. But you also have to deal with the fact that now there was a stigma surrounding you for what you were associated with. So now that made things a little hurdle to get over to even get things going in the right direction. And I find that great that you were able to hurdle over that adversity and build a great company that you have.
Yeah, I could just see how it was supposed to be done and how I could do it if I wasn't being held back by all the lies and things, and how any job is great when you know you're doing it right and when everybody's happy. Yeah. Then any job is great, right? So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, but you know something? I think that you love what you do.
Absolutely.
And now that's the difference, because when you love what you do, it goes from being a job or running a business to now, yeah, you're running a business, but it's not like it's a lot of hard work, but it's gratifying because you love what you do, so it becomes work but not work. I mean, that's how I feel about things that I enjoy doing. You can do it as a business, but if you enjoy doing it, it's even that much more satisfying, because you don't have this thing inside you like, oh God, I have to go to the office today and deal with this.
Oh yeah, you know what they say: if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Well,
I don't know if I'd take it all that way, because I do work.
Yeah.
Some days I feel like, oh my God, I'm working. But it's like you said, it's a labor of love. It's so great. I'll tell you, the happiest I think I've ever been, and I think it was because I knew at the moment I was the happiest I could be in my life. It was right after the September 11th. Mm-hmm. I was on one of the first flights out right after the Bin Laden family out of the country.
Oh,
I think I was on that next flight after them. And terrified, going from, we were all scared on our first flight after, but this was a few days after.
Right.
Leaving from San Jose here in the Bay Area to West Palm Beach, Florida. So plenty of gas to turn around and hit into the Golden Gate is what I was thinking.
Right.
And everybody on the plane was thinking that.
Full
tank of gas.
At that time, that was running through everyone's mind. I was in New York when everything happened, and
no.
so it's like a horrible thing to see, and for me, at that time I saw, hundreds if not thousands of people going over the bridge with soot all over them. It was really a horrible
Oh,
thing.
yeah, horrible.
But to get on a plane immediately after that, just even watching it on TV, yeah, it's got to be rough.
Oh, I can tell you, and this is kind of funny, and it's horror against a tragedy, but it was kind of, even at the time, we kind of went, ha ha, and that was the end of the laughing. But I remember, especially the men on the plane, where two of them, I remember, asked the stewardess what the limit of alcohol we could drink was. How many drinks could we buy? We were all scared to death, but got on the plane because I had a gig with Lou Rawls in West Palm Beach for the American Lung Association.
Mm-hmm.
Got there, just stressed, just a lot of stress, on top of being in a horrible, humid, hot place in September. Lou was the greatest guy. He was just the nicest, most wonderful guy. Great to see him, so happy, hugged to see each other again because we'd worked together on United Negro College Fund,
mm-hmm.
And other gigs in the past. And glad you made it safe. Yeah, I'm glad you made it safe. And, we had a great... I was sitting backstage during his performance, just stage right, just sitting right there at the curtain,
mm-hmm.
watching him sing, and he was looking back and laughing and making kind of jokes while he was singing, because we were just all so scared and nervous and freaked out because it just had happened.
Right.
And so we were kind of laughing a little too much, and he kept looking back and making jokes during the song and laughing, like he'd change a lyric or two and look at me and laugh, and that little constant wink he had that probably was an indication of the brain tumor he died of, but it was just always that little mannerism he had. And it was just laughing. I remember thinking, you know what, this is I did this.
Mm-hmm.
This is all my work.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't usually think that while it's going on. Look at this. This is all my stuff. There is nothing better than this. We're all happy. We're all laughing. We're all safe. It's just the best moment. And I remember being so conscious of that, being just after September 11th. And I think all night long we were just so happy. And we had a meet and greet afterwards, which is, of course, something else I do. I make sure the meet and greet after the concert is fine. And I think Lou's tour manager said no more than 50 people.
Mm-hmm.
Lou went on. I remember the tour manager counted off 50 and gave me an umpire. That's all. That's safe,
mm-hmm.
kind of a hand thing. That's all, no more. And so somebody had shaken Lou's hand, and I said, "Okay, Lou, so and so, I can't remember his name." Said, "We're done." He goes, No, come on, let them come. As long as they're in line, let them come. And he went on for hours and hours, and he was dancing with people at 2 a.m. at that post concert party.
That's great.
When stars never do. But it was just, we were all so happy to be alive.
Yeah.
And everything was joyous, and moments like that are what you live for.
Without a doubt, and that's something that'll stick with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and he was a wonderful man, and just to have the great people and the happy moments, and concerts make people happy anyway, so
especially
it's a good business.
Yeah, it is, especially now, what's going on in this country, in this world, entertainment, people seek it out, whether it be comedy, whether it be, a music concert, whatever it may be. And we talked about burlesque earlier, even whatever it is, anything that puts a smile on somebody's face is a good thing.
It's distraction, if nothing else, and something else to think about besides our problems,
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And what you do, you bring something to the table that to me is interesting, because just to give I want to give people an idea of a walk through a life of your life. Okay, as someone comes to you, they say, "Okay, Katrina, I want to have a concert here." Okay, and this is my budget, and this is I want you to put it together. Now, it's not
okay.
People see the end result. And that my whole point, and we're going to get into how you do everything. But my whole point is that people see the end result. They see the concert. They see the music. They see the end thing, the gates, the security. They see everything. That's the end result. But there's a lot that goes on before the show even happens.
Right.
There's a lot that goes on, and it's just like months of planning. It could be months of planning and just getting this event done.
I always say at least 4 months, but a year is great. And if anyone's ever put a wedding on, and you know how many details are in a wedding. It's like 10 times that, because there's about 35 brides to make happy. There's so much. Okay, when people start and I give them the names in their budget, I think we got that far before.
Right.
In their genre and their budget, they either go to committee or take it to the decision maker, depending. Most fundraisers have committees and lawyers to go over things and stuff. They come back with a wish list. I get the availabilities and the exact fee quotes. If I can get airfare thrown in, I do that. That's something Starlink does, is try to negotiate costs down as low as possible. I'll try to get another date in the area if I can get somebody's price down a little bit. Sometimes I have to go back and say, I quoted you $35K on this one. I guess they won an award since then, and I wasn't aware, and now they're, since I had that price, they've gone up to 125. I'll tell people that. I'll just tell them the truth, like we talked about earlier.
Right.
Sorry, that was a name that I hadn't realized had gone up so much. Tony Bennett at one point, oh my gosh, he was doing things for $80K, and now he's in his 80s. He doesn't want to work as much. I think the last time I checked him, he was near $200K.
Wow.
So certain people will go up, and the only way I know is when I check prices. So I'll check the prices and availabilities, get back to them, let them know, okay, let's hone in on some people. They go to meetings or talk to their decision makers. They come back with, and we pare down the wish list until, and I can sometimes get some, footage online for the committees to see, so they can see different shows. Then we'll get down to the offer process, and I'll say, okay, I'll have them sign off legally, so I'm not on the hook for the offer. Because if once an act accepts, we're on the hook for that offer.
Right.
And I don't have the money to have Tony Bennett in my living room, so
I've
got to have them sign off on that.
Right.
So I make the offer on their behalf. I do all the negotiations, make the offer, and I contract. And then I contract with my client, and that's a lot of attorneys usually involved, and they line by line it. And instead of, I get all these 2-hour conference calls on Section 7 where it says, whereas, can we put in the event? Yeah, I don't care, whatever. So you go through that with everybody's attorneys. And we get to the point where we've made the offer's been accepted or denied. No, we don't, the guy doesn't feel like working, or, no, I don't want to go to that city, or I told my wife I'd take vacation. Whatever it is, they decline for some reason, and I tell people not to take it personally.
Right.
Then we go on to the next. But anyway, at some point we make it so somebody is accepted, and we go to the contracting process. I contract, and right away we get the contract writer, and the writer is on top of the contract, and that is basically the wish list the artist has.
I'm sure you've seen doozies. I'm sure you've seen.
Oh my goodness! There's one artist who's very, very famous, obviously, and she is the diva of the world, and she has a 75-page writer, and that is huge. And that talks about a pink Cadillac. She won't get in any color but a pink Cadillac, which makes it hard in Toledo, Ohio, where they don't have any pink Cadillacs, or someplace in Iowa that doesn't have. Anyway, yeah. And I won't name her, but it goes on and on and on and on. And some writers are very funny, and like John Tesh always has something hidden in his. And if you don't meet that, he is not easy to work with. He won't, and so basically those of us in the business for a long time know to look for the hidden piece of crap wherever it was. I'm sorry, but the G.I. Joe, and it has to have brown pants in this year's writer, and next year's writer it'll be a wrestling mania doll with a red sash around his neck. He does that to make sure you read every page and every line of the writer.
Well, but that's good for them. Yeah, actually, it's good for you, and it's like, if they're doing stupid stuff like that, to have you read it, because it should be read anyway.
It should, and a lot of times,
as long as they're not telling you to take out the green M&M from a thing of M&Ms,
and that happens too. Yeah, that happens.
I bet.
But there's certain people like Tesh that have no sense of humor about it, and I do appreciate it. I know that some people will say, don't work with so-and-so, they're hard to work with, and I'll think, I bet you just didn't produce it right. I bet you just didn't do a good job. And usually I'm right on that, and so I do believe in that, but and the same hand, Tesh does it with kind of a chip on his shoulder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People like Air Supply, they have 2 separate dressing rooms because they don't share a dressing room, and they ask for floral arrangements, and they put a little line in there, and it's kind of fun. It's like, impress us with your imagination on our floral arrangements.
Oh my God.
So you never, funny things like that. And then there's Gladys Knight, who has a huge hospitality writer, and then she'll put a thing underneath it that tells you she's a good person and says, feed us well and we'll do a great job. We want to be well fed. So, you can't get mad at that.
Well, at least she's being honest.
A writer, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And she's a nice person, so what can you say,
Yeah.
And she does, a great show. So, there's anything to get that show is great, so. But the writer, when I say it's a wish list, it's not like, oh, I hope we get this. No, you have to provide everything in there. So, and I've had clients saying, well, Kenny Rogers didn't want that last year. Well, Kenny Rogers isn't who you booked this time. Every artist is different, and you have to do what this writer says for this artist. This artist did this writer specifically for them, and this is what they need to do their show.
Right.
And if you don't want them happy, then you're going to have 3 songs sung and somebody not doing a meet and greet after. So I always tell the clients everything so they can be if you do it right, they'll be happy and you'll be happy, and I'll tell the artist everything I can do to make the client as happy as possible. Hey, can we throw in air? Can we forget that extra presidential suite on your side? We're trying to make money here for the Lung Association. So that's what I do, and I call myself a professional middle child because I take all the crap so everybody else can be happy. Okay. But that makes me happy when everybody else is happy, so.
But then you're doing a service not only to your client, but you're also doing a service to the entertainer. Because I know, like a lot of entertainers, they go out there and they're performing. At some point during their career, they weren't all high and mighty, and they weren't jaded. And some of these entertainers, they wind up to be jaded as they're performing here and there, and that's why you get these crazy writers and all this stuff. And some people just try to take advantage. And I am saying it on the show because I know how these things work, and it makes your job just a little bit tougher getting through it. But again, as long as you're doing honest work, nobody can fault you for it because it's not your fault. It's not something that if it was up to you, it would just be simple as pie. But this is the real world. It's not that simple.
And most artists are simple as pie, I should say. Most artists are just wonderful, easy to work with, understand things are different. There's just a few out there that are not. And by the way, I will tell my clients, if they bring me a name that I've worked with before and it's a problem, I tell you, my middle name should be full disclosure, because I don't want anybody unhappy later for something they didn't know was coming. So I will say, this person, I have worked with this person once or twice or 3 times. This person is always a pain in the butt, or this person asks for all these extra things, or will bill you on the end of their job for $10,000 more dollars. I want you to know ahead of time. I'm telling you, I would rather you book someone else, but I will book this person for you if you insist. But remember, I said this. You know what I mean? Everything up front. And I will also say, this person or that person is the nicest person in the world. You will never regret it. You will wish you could have them every year. If it could draw money, you would have them every year. I will, because my experience is much better than theirs. I have to believe, and knowing these things and knowing how great and awful some of these people can be, and how that can impact the bottom line of their fundraising or just their profit if it's just an independent. And plus, if somebody's too unpleasant, they might not want to do it. Let's not do a celebrity next year. Let's just do the local magician. And like I was saying earlier, that really happens every once in a while. People will go a couple years and say, our board member has a nephew that does magic. And it went that poorly last year, did it?
That's funny.
So,
but I can see
I do try to tell people what I know.
Yeah, I can see people doing that, and and you can correct me if I'm wrong, just so we have clarity. I just try to make things as simple as possible, even for myself, so that I can explain it to people. Now, with Starlink Productions, for all intents and purposes, and I want people to understand this, and if I'm wrong, correct me. But
Okay.
when you have a client, you are representing the client. You're putting everything together, but you're representing the client. You're working in the best interest of your client.
Absolutely.
Okay, that just
on the same hand, though, I want the celebrity to be just as happy and just as represented, and make sure I advocate for them too.
Okay.
But not to the point where they walk over my client. I'm not going to let my client be hurt.
No, so you become the referee.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you become.
That's
the
what I mean. The middle child thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you become the ref. You're in there keeping the peace and making everything go the right way. Because as you said, you're honest in the way you do business. So when you're putting together a concert and the artist is there and they're demanding whatever, you can sit and defend or go on the side of your client and say, well, we're not going to do this, this, and this, and this. But meanwhile, it may be something simple that the artist wants. So you just try to just make everything work for everybody.
Right. Finesse it through, whatever it takes. If I can get the artist to drop that demand, or if I can get the client to see the benefit, and I can tell you the worst gig of my life story, and that was I had just started Starlink, but I hadn't opened it yet.
Right.
I was working on it. I was getting ready to leave the other company.
Mm-hmm.
And I got sent out on this last job in Chicago with Melissa Manchester. And this is not, I want to say ahead of time, this is not Melissa Manchester's fault. Working for this other guy, it was my booking. It was my job.
Mm-hmm.
And I owned it, but he kept sticking his 2 cents in,
mm-hmm.
and calling the client and changing things. They had it was a hospital in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
They had structured the evening. Usually a gala goes dinner, a cocktail hour, dinner, awards, talent.
Right.
And they had structured it so Melissa couldn't have performed until midnight or so. And people would already be going home and stuff. And I said, the only way this is going to work, let's do this before dinner. Let's do her show, and then you guys do the awards and dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we don't want to do that. Well, I had finessed it back and forth, and I'm remembering back to mid-'98 now.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, we finally got them to agree, and Melissa could go on at about 7:30 or 8.
Mm-hmm.
And she would be happy, and she would do a meet and greet, and then everybody'd have the dinner and the awards ceremony, and she could go on, and everything would be great. Well, this guy I worked for came in and said, well, that just isn't practical. I just told them that you'd make sure Manchester went on at midnight if it had to be. And I was like, why did you tell them? This is I had it all fixed. Everyone was going to be happy, which, by the way, is my goal.
Right.
Why did you do that? Why did you do? So I go out to the show, and I had just done a show with her in Toledo a week before. So it was our second show. I knew the crew real well. Everything was great in the Toledo show. Everything. So I asked my client, when it looks like we're not even going to go on at midnight, when are we going to go on? Oh, we should just be 10 minutes late. And I remember I held on to his elbows, and I looked him in the eye, and I said, please tell me if it's going to be any later. I'd rather have her know that it's going to be an hour and a half, 2 hours late, and have her take the dress off and relax and watch TV, than make her mad and make her sit in the dress any minute.
Right.
No, 10, 15 minutes. So I call up to the room. They just gave me 10, 15 minutes. It's going to be. Okay, we'll start making our way down. And mind you, I have security taking her down from, it's a hotel, her hotel room, to the ballroom.
Okay.
Through a crowd of people on a weekend.
Right.
2 hours later.
Oh, my God.
Uh-huh. And I couldn't find my client. They disappeared and hid from me.
Oh, my God.
Uh-huh. I had someone go on the stage, not say a word, do one song, and walk off. And cuss me out left and right. And I don't blame her, really.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, it wasn't my fault, but as producer, I'm the one who, I'm the buck stops here.
Yeah, well, you get blamed for it.
Yeah, I mean, and it has to be that way. I have to be the one to take ultimate responsibility, and anybody producing a show has to be that way. When I finally find my client, they say, well, is she going to do the meet? The meet and greet's going to be in this room now. And I said, I can't remember his name anymore. Of course, he didn't call me back for the next year. And he didn't find me in my own company. She's not coming. Because she only did one song. We're already met. What did I tell you about letting her take the dress off and watching a movie? If we were going to be late, you said 10, 15 minutes. It was 2 hours. She stood there in the hall in front of the ballroom with all these people walking by her. And he's like, this is unacceptable. And I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm going up to my room, and I'm flying out tomorrow. And that was the worst gig of my life because I couldn't fix it for anybody.
No, but that's horrible.
And I hate that.
But that's horrible. That is a client that is disorganized. If you're going to have an event, you need to know, and you need to trust in the person that you're bringing in to produce your event, because they brought you in to produce it, which means that you're bringing in the timeline. This is what's happening. Now,
if my ex-employer hadn't changed my have the concert before the dinner plan, and if my client, once I was there, hadn't lied to me, and I therefore passed that lie on to the talent, this whole thing wouldn't have blown up, and everyone would have been happy, and they would have had a good show. Instead of one song and somebody stomping off.
It goes to that old line. If Woody would have went straight to the police, this never would have happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so that and that's that. But yeah, I mean, it's like a whole thing. It's like you're producing a concert. It's like producing anything, because you have to deal with everything and different personalities, different people. It's not just you and the client. It's you and the artist, you and the tour manager, you and their regular manager, you and their agent, you. And your client may have a board.
And every company we've contracted, the lighting company, the piano tuner,
the flowers,
the caterer.
The caterer. All, I mean, this is what I want people to understand, that it's not just you booking an artist and saying, here we go, because you're not a booking agent. You are a producer. You put on an event. You are glitz, glamour. You make their idea of what they want. You make that into a reality where everyone's happy at the end.
Right. Oh, and do you have time for a thumbnail sketch of the worst travel day of my life?
Go for it.
Gregory Hines, Toledo, Ohio. Nicest guy. Nothing wrong with the band. Nothing wrong. But the universe wasn't smiling on us this day. Before cell phones were invented, or I think there were cell phones, but most of us didn't have them.
Well, those are the big battery thing that you carried on your shoulder type of phones.
Yeah, and I didn't have one at that time, and most of us didn't. Got to O'Hare Airport. From O'Hare, we had to take, what I call Buddy Holly Airlines into Toledo, Ohio.
Oh my God.
Because you can't, or you can go into Detroit and Buddy Holly Airlines into Toledo. But Toledo's a tiny little, like the show Wings airport there, and it still is. It was for St. Vincent's Hospital. The show went great, but the day before, Gregory Hines and I don't know how many travelers, I can't even remember anymore, 30-something maybe, coming in from all over the country. The airport shut down. It was October. The airport shut down. Everyone had luggage with them because the airlines all canceled all their flights and gave us back our luggage. Everybody's carrying luggage around, and they ran out of food in the whole airport. Everybody in the world that was O'Hare, no more food. I was on payphones. I had to find all these people in all these terminals, and get them somehow to Toledo with ground transportation, getting on payphones, trying to find services. Oh my God! It was hours and hours and hours, and I'm not a real life crier. I cry at movies. I'm not a real life crier. This is one time where maybe 7 or 8 hours into it, with no food, and holding a big formal up high in the air, and my big old suitcase dragging behind me, walking from terminal to terminal, trying to find these people coming in and getting them in cars and letting them know what happened. And I remember at one point some old lady got in front of me while I'm waiting in front of a desk to get some kind of car service, and she didn't see me there or something, and she got in front of me, and I said, I'm next in line. And I was so weak. And she looked back, she goes, what, honey? And I said, next in line. It was the worst travel day. And I got to Toledo about 4 in the morning with one of the last cabs I could find.
Wow.
It was the worst. But just think of that, finding all those people, 30-something people in 3, and not ever seen them before in my life. Just calling around trying to find them. Are you so-and-so? I'm looking for so-and-so.
Oh, my God.
Carrying all your luggage, no food, no cell phone.
That's a nightmare. That's a nightmare.
Because now I can have everybody in the party's cell phone and have my cell phone and say, okay, are you here at the airport? Okay, here's what happened. You need to get a taxi. God, that would have been nice.
Yeah, that would have been nice. But, yeah, I mean, when you were just telling the story, my stress level started going up. It's like, oh, my God. I mean, but these are the things that you deal with in your line of work, you know, and that's why I thought it would be great to have you on the show, because a lot of people, they see the end result. I see the end result. Whether you're watching a movie, watching a TV program, going to a concert, you see the end result. You see the band or the performer on stage doing their thing. You're happy. You do your meet and greet, whatever. If you're at a fundraiser, this is what's happening. But there's a lot of preparation, because when you walk in and you see, especially at a gala event, the lighting, the tables, the food, the champagne, the whatever. If you have an ice sculpture there, if you have something going on here, all this stuff, that's all you.
Right, and security and everything, cars, vans, limos.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're doing all of that stuff. That's crazy.
And you know, somebody else could have said, well, I hope they all get there, and just gotten in a cab. I can't live like that.
Yeah, but the thing is that with what you do, that you know, once a client, you know, pays you to do all this stuff and pays the act, because obviously, you know, the act, you know, has to get something up front when they're being booked and everything. But when all this stuff gets done, like, you don't have to go that extra mile, but you do.
Absolutely. And like I say, we thrive on repeat business. And I thrive just knowing I've done everything right, and everybody's happy. Then I'm happy.
Well, you're doing business the right way.
That's so important.
Yeah, you're doing business the right way. You know, again, you know, when you go and with what you're doing, and you have an honest business, and you're doing everything the right way, and laying everything out the way it needs to be laid out, and even going that extra mile as you do, you know, things still go wrong. But you,
absolutely.
But you own up. But you own it. That's what I'm saying. You own it. Something goes wrong, you're not passing the buck. You own it.
And we always ask people to make sure. Sometimes people don't want to pay my coach airfare and my, you know, crappiest hotel room possible that I will happily accept, because they think they can do it themselves. I always say, you don't know what can go wrong, and sometimes they do it themselves. And I've had calls in the middle of the night, because they're calling from the East Coast or whatever. Oh my God, you know, this guy, he doesn't want to do what we hired him to do. And okay, tell me what happened. Tell me what's going on. Why is he this way? What happened? Put him on the phone. You know, it's so worth it just to coach airfare in a small hotel room.
So for the extra,
to have me there to fix everything.
Yeah. So for the extra, you know, $500 or $1,000 to have you there.
Mm-hmm.
Makes a world of difference, because you're there.
Because I will work my heart out for you. And of course I work my heart out to make sure nothing goes wrong, and that would be great if that always worked that way, and it usually does. Yeah, well, I hope that there are people listening to this show that are involved in fundraising and things of that nature, and looking to put concerts on, because it's not as easy as, oh, let me go book an act and this is what we're going to do. Yeah, that's not going to happen. You know how many people come to me and say, oh, well, you know, we only have 5,000, but tell Madonna that we're nice people and it's a good cause. Good luck with that. Yeah, definitely good luck with that one. You know, but yes, I mean, look, a lot of these artists, and I understand where they're coming from, because I do speak to a lot of them, and the line of work that I do, even in my private life, but they do deal with a lot of shady people. Their managers deal with shady people, and I've spoken. I sit down and I break bread with managers that represent some of the greatest talent around, and still they're good people.
but then they have to deal with all the nonsense that comes out of people trying to take advantage. I speak to a celebrity booking agent. Great guy, honest, just like you, honest guy. I'll even say his name. His name is Mike Esterman. Great guy.
Right. Yeah.
And he books acts all over the place, but he runs an honest business. He tells you straight up, not even candy coating. This is what they're getting. This is what I'm getting. This is how things work. He makes sure that it happens. That it makes everything happen the right way. Okay.
It's so much easier way to live.
Yeah, but
it really is.
But with him, just like I know with you, with him, and I'm just kind of sticking with him because I said his name, and again, here goes another estimate plug. But anyway, with him, his clients are his clients, but people continue to come to him because of the way he runs his business. If you burn people, you're not going to have connections with the managers of all these artists and the other agents and for them to want to work with you. And his client list goes on and on. Same way with yours. If you burnt the people that you work with, whether it be an artist or a client or a caterer or someone that does the flowers or whatever the case may be, they won't have to deal with you. So it'll be hard for you to go and put on and duplicate an awesome event the next time. But since you have I guess people that you work with, they hold you in a high regard, that you always have access to these people if need be, and the good people to work with and the not so good people to work with, so you can actually protect your client, try to save them money, also get the artist in, but take care of the artist at the same time. So you have like a zillion hats that you're wearing during this whole process. Right. So,
and it's a real compliment when someone who's in this business like me for a living, the artist, says things like Shauna and I always says, it's a cakewalk, it's always a cakewalk. Scotty Simon always says that to me. Every time we work with you, it's a cakewalk. And, Fogarty's tour manager last May saying, it's just, I've forgotten what it's like to be around someone who cares how the show goes. And that was when we were loading back up into the trucks for their next, and I stay until they're on their road to the next gig. If it's the next morning, my job doesn't stop until they're on their plane or on the cars or trucks or buses to the next, depending on how they're getting to their next gig. I do it all the way until they're gone. So that's so important to me to have them like working with me.
But that's a testament to the type of person you are and how you run your business. And you and I spoke, prior to you coming on the show, and it was just interesting because, again, just going forward with this show, I didn't know what to expect from you as far as things go, because I'm not really into the inner workings of your business, and I'm glad that you opened up about the things that you do. All I can tell you is that I think hire you now than I did before, because I didn't know basically what you did. So now that I know how you run your business, then you just moved up about 5 notches in my good column.
Thanks. Hey, if you can think of any wording I haven't thought of for my site to let people know, let me know.
Yeah, no.
It's kind of hard to represent yourself on a website, I guess, because people are always confused when they call. So I think, I'm somehow not communicating. I don't know what magic words to put up there, unless maybe I'll put a link to my interview here.
Yeah, you can do that. That's the interesting thing too, because a lot of people, that are out there that's trying to do stuff, they look. And I'll just, make it, to have this plain vanilla situation right now. Someone wants to have XYZ artist there. Okay, we're going to get the venue, do this, and we're going to bring this artist in. We'll just call the agent and book him. Yeah, you can do that, and you can do all the work yourself and get all that stuff done. But if you don't know what you're doing, the chances of an implosion are so great, because I've seen it, are so great that you're going to slink out the back door, get in your car, and go home, and you're going to leave your friends and family there to deal with your problem. And I've seen that happen before. To have a professional like yourself that can do everything from soup to nuts and work within the budget of the person. And you're not telling someone, oh, well, this is the budget and, 90% is going in my pocket and 10% is going for that stuff. That's not how things work at all. And the people that do that, There are people that do that, but that's not how you operate.
Oh, I know, and that brings up another point too about why Starlink was formed. The person I worked for before, and I realize that's why people sometimes don't want to tell me their budget.
We'll call him the bad guy.
Yeah, we're calling him X or whatever. Yeah,
the bad guy.
He declares bankruptcy and changes his company name every few years. So,
what does he own? A grocery store?
No, he still does this somehow. I don't know.
Wow, that's funny.
I don't know how, but he has to change his name and declare bankruptcy every few years, and he did that once. When I came in, he said, if anybody asks for this company, and he gave me the name, you've never heard of it before, when I first started working there. And then he changed his name right after I left. So 3 company names that I know of just in those 2 years.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, but he would ask their budget, and they'd give it to him, and then whoever, he would go up to the penny. He'd say, okay, like say you had 10,000. He'd get a $5,000 act, and they'd be 10,000, no matter what. And he'd never. Now, I did a booking at Atlanta, Atlanta, Georgia, last May. Mm-hmm. They had 10,000, and I got them something for 8,000. Because of who I worked for before, that's important to me, not to go up to the. Now, if they want somebody big, and that's how much they have, I'm going to say that's going to really take you to the edge of your budget. Mm-hmm. But if I can stay under budget, that makes me so much, because I'm not being X. I'm not being the bad guy.
Right.
I'm not using every penny of their budget.
But you're looking out for your client, and primarily you're looking out for them and their best interest, because the more money that they can put towards something else, that's better. Because at the end of the day,
and I feel like I'm not taking advantage if I don't use every penny of their budget. Or if they say I have X, and I say, well, so and so is X, and they want X. If and I can't say I can always do this. I can't always do this. But if I can come back and say, hey, I got him to throw in airfare. Oh, I'm so happy. I just saved you guys a few more thousand, because the band's going to come in on their own now.
Yeah, but stuff
or I
like
got him
that.
a gig, 400 miles away. They're just going to truck in from there. You don't have to pay airfare.
See, and now I'll just touch on this. So there are times where you may, if let's say you're doing something for the Cancer Society or whoever you're doing stuff for, and I will say this, that anyone out there that's doing a fundraiser, if you're a big organization, whether you're the Cancer Society, whatever society you are, and if you're looking to have someone that is honest, that's going to work hard for you, and also bring in the right talent for you, Starlink Productions, I mean, you can't go wrong with them. And I'm saying that, and that is not a paid advertisement. I don't do stuff like that. Okay, anything that I do say, and I say this on my show often, when I do say something good about a company or a person, is because those are my true feelings. And I'm just letting you know that, Katrina, because that's how I feel in speaking to you and knowing more about you.
Thanks, Lou. It's important to me.
Well, I just speak the truth, and that's it. I mean, I believe a person's actions kind of dictates who they are. You can talk till you're blue in the face, but what you do at the moment that you need to get something done is what defines who you are.
Right.
And
true.
And for you to tell me that, if you have XYZ client that is that's looking to bring in some talent, and you know their budget, and you're trying to work with them, you're like, okay, well, this artist, they want 10 grand, but then they usually want airfare, this and that. So, well, you know what, let me try to work some magic, maybe get them a gig over here, let them pick up the expense for the travel, and that way you're saving this client money. This is the stuff that you do that you don't have to do.
No. But like I said, I thrive on repeat business.
Right.
So everybody's happy, then we're happy too, in more ways than one. I'm happy immediately after the show, and I'm happy next year when you come back.
Well, and that's why I want to clarify that stuff, so when people do listen to the show and they do hear how you run business or run your business, that it's not, I mean, it's more to it than just, oh, well, we're just going to book some acts. You go beyond, because I've never heard, and I really haven't heard of anyone that produces events like yours that would go that extra mile to try to book an act somewhere else just to save one client from paying the airfare, or save one client with X amount of dollars so they can put it towards their fundraiser or whatever they're doing. I have
right.
to. I have
And
to.
sometimes I can even just get another thing and get a split it. At least it's half. That's another way to go. If I can't get them to totally forego it, I can come back and say we're splitting airfare with X town 400 miles from you. So yeah, that's great when I can bring them that kind of stuff. But I can't guarantee I can do it. But I will try.
But you try, and I commend you.
Yeah.
I commend you for that, because a lot of people out there that do this type of thing, I know that they would just go and say, okay, this is your budget, this is what we're doing, and that's it, and this is what you're spending. And what they do behind the scenes is what they do, and sometimes you get what you want, sometimes you don't get what you want. But if things go bad, chance of them being around or sticking around like you do, and making sure that things do go the right way at the end of the night, as long as you're not getting opposition from your clients. And any clients that are listening to this, don't give the lady opposition. Listen to her. That's what she's there for. You hire her to do this. And if somebody hires you to do something, it's like hiring a consultant to consult your company, but you're telling them what to do. Wake up. Why would you hire somebody to do something if you're not trusting their opinion? You have to do that stuff, and when a client does hire you, they have to trust that you know what you're doing. You've been doing it for some time. It's not like you just started into this business. You've been doing this for the past what?
What is it? 18 years now?
Yeah. I didn't want to say it, but I was going to say the past. I was going to say the past, but a long time.
Yeah, I had to think about it. I had to do the math real quick.
Yeah, no, I had the number. I just I didn't want to throw it out there. That's like me saying that I was doing XYZ for 20 years, which I have been. I was like, oh God, But
yeah, that went fast, didn't it?
Yeah, that's what happens. Everybody gets older. That's life. What can you do?
As long as you're having fun, then it doesn't matter.
I try. As long as I try to have
still
fun.
Feel.
As long as I have a smile on my face, I'm happy. As long as I wake up in the morning, I'm good.
Yeah.
And that's the way things go. But you've worked with some great people, and I know that the artists that you have booked for your events, whether it was the United Negro College Fund or hospitals or whatever, you even have fantasy figure conventions. I don't know what that is.
It's like when somebody wants the stars of Twilight or Harry Potter or something to sign autographs all day.
Oh, okay. See, that's another thing that you do. We didn't get into that.
Yeah, that's not very often. That's once in a while.
Okay, that's once in a while.
My main gig is concerts, occasionally speaking, but and I have had a couple things that Esterman usually does, is like nightclub appearances.
Okay.
Those kind of, I don't know, I think that's his gig more. I don't have that much luck with those. I don't mean they don't go well.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I don't know. I don't feel like I don't know. It just doesn't feel right for me.
Well, he's been in the nightclub
and I actually
business.
have sent people to his site that have called me when I don't have time to deal with it.
Yeah.
I'll say, you know what? Why don't you go to Mike Esterman's site? And he does that kind of thing all the time.
Yeah, no, he's good at what he does. He's been involved in the nightclub business for a while. He used to dance. Yes, and if he's listening,
I know, I read that.
Yeah,
something about American Bandstand. Huh?
Yeah, if he's listening to this, yeah, Mike, I'm talking about you dancing, and and the outfits you used to wear. Oh my God! But no, he's good at what he does.
Oh, I think I need to hit Google Images after this now.
Yeah, you got to do something. But as long as he wasn't going the Elton John route, I guess he's doing all right. But no, he's a great guy, and he has a lot of good talent. We're talking about him too much. This show's about you, and we're talking about Mike Estimate.
I'm just saying, there's a niche for everybody, and we do a lot of concerts and personal appearances and speaking gigs, but concerts are my main thing.
Yeah, well, that you have to stick with what you do best, and concerts are your thing. Some people, they do the appearances and the autographs and the meet and greet, and that's their thing. Going to having a celebrity DJ at a place and things of that nature, or having reality show stars go somewhere, whether it be a mall or a club or whatever, and get out there. Like even with singers, getting recording artists out there and stuff like that. They're that's a different dynamic than what you're doing, because for all intents and purposes, you're booking someone. You get paid, you're booking someone. That's it.
Also working with these foundations and the hospitals, every charity has a foundation, and the lawyers and things are things a lot of people don't want to do, and I'm just used to it. So,
right. Well, there's a second
I
nature.
had a dentist for a father, so doctor personality, and I worked for a celebrity for a while, and between celebrities and doctors and that kind of personality, I can work with those lawyers real easily, pretty much. So, there's only one I've refused to do repeat business with because the lawyer was too much of a person that I don't want to work with.
Okay, well, hey, you know something?
I just censored myself.
Yeah, but
most people don't like working with these attorneys like that, so that's my niche. So.
Well, I'm going to say this, and I apologize in advance for what I'm about to say, so please don't be offended. But no, you do have some lawyers that can be pricks, period, the end.
Oh.
And that's the reality. But then again, that's their job, so you can't really fault them because they're doing their job, so they're trying to protect their client. But some
most are. There's this one lawyer I refused to work with it's a hospital in New Jersey. I actually refuse to work with him anymore. I don't care if I don't have that income anymore because that's how bad this guy was.
Ooh.
Total power trip, it just wasn't worth me wanting to kill someone for several months a year. You know what I mean?
It's not worth that stress. It's not worth that stress.
It was that bad, but most attorneys are fine. They do have a job to do, and I'll go over it with them, and I'll explain to them why we can't change the legal venue from California, and why, I'm fine talking about all that. And a lot of people are intimidated, but this one guy, no, he's not worth all the gold in China.
But, people,
tea in China, huh?
Hey, all the tea in China. Well, actually, gold now because China's involved in some heavy gold stuff. But that is a talk for another day when I talk about finance, because that's my forte.
Then you don't want to be talking to me. That's not my forte.
Yeah. We won't talk about today. We're talking about what you're doing, concert, promoting and actually producing, and that stuff. Now, let me ask you this, Katrina. Can you just tell us, and I know we're kind of going over now, but can you tell us, because I want listeners or anyone that's listening to the show to really get a feel for what you do. Now, you work for nonprofits, you work for fundraising organizations. Tell us what type of fundraising organizations that you do work with, and what fundraising organizations are you looking to work with, so that if they're listening to the show, they know to come to you, because I think that this show is going to answer a lot of questions for a lot of people that may be wondering, well, what do you do at Starlink? Well, this is what you do.
Right. Actually, we work with independents, too, and venues who want to book, but a lot of our stuff is fundraising. And any 501c3, which is a tax-exempt, anyone we can help that has a cause and is a legitimate charity, any hospital, any lung association, cancer association, heart association, anything, women's shelter, anything. We're happy to help in any way. We love animal causes. That's one of our favorite causes. Anything we can do to help anybody, we're happy to do it. And like I said, what they do is they go to our website, starlinkproductions.com. There's a request form that asks you the basic, how, where, when, why questions. Give me as much information as you can, and I will give you as much information as you can. And we're off to the races. We'll go from there.
Okay.
And I'll make sure you don't know about expenses coming up later. Make sure I'll educate you as much as I can. I'll make sure you don't go over budget. I'll give you all my advice possible, and I'll make it happen for you. I'll make you money.
Well, I think that's awesome. And Katrina, let me ask you this before I let you go in a second. Now, when someone's having an event, just out of curiosity, just to satisfy my curiosity, because I'm sure there's a question that will come up, and I'm sure it has come up. Now, when you produce a concert for someone, okay, now they're selling tickets to this concert. Is that something that they're doing on their own? Is that something that you're helping them with? How does that work?
The tickets depend on the venue. If the venue has a contract with the venue that they rent, because they have to have their venue before they come to me.
Sure.
And in fact, they can come to me, but I'll say, get your venue, get your date, and we'll go from there. The venue either has a contract or can be independent. Sometimes the venue does things internally, and that's part of their contract with the venue. If they don't have a ticketing agency, I'll suggest an independent, like Walmart is even getting into it, to save them money.
Really? That's interesting.
Michael Jackson, before he died, was getting really into the Walmart thing because he didn't like the big corporate stranglehold on ticket sales.
So Walmart is actually going to be is going to be selling concert tickets?
Right. They're going to be having a ticketing service, which is cheaper for organizations like that. So.
I like that because now you're giving a rate. People, instead of going and spending astronomical prices, and you're going to pay a big fee on top of it, all this other jazz, with these organizations, with these companies. I'm not going to mention them because I don't want to have anybody mad at me. But hey, you know what? That's life. It's my show. I do what I say, what I want. But for Walmart to do something like that, it's interesting because they have access to millions of people around the country.
Right.
So to have a ticketing
and if that's cheaper for the concert goer and cheaper for the person putting on the concert, that's so much the better. Mm-hmm. And a lot of venues have internal ticketing software programs. Mm-hmm. Was that a Freudian slip? Programs.
Yeah, right.
So they don't have to pay the ticketing agencies all this money and all this, $5 per ticket and $10 per ticket stuff.
Yeah.
So anything like that is a better deal, and that's another thing I'll tell the client ahead of time. If you can get a venue with a good ticketing deal, and if they're open to different ticketing agencies and they don't have their own internal program, then look at Walmart, look at the other independents. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's another thing I'll do for them.
Yeah, but that's really interesting. See, you taught me something today because I didn't know. You taught me a lot of things today, but that I didn't know, and I like learning new things as I go along because then as I brought stuff into this show with you, I'll bring it to the next person and we'll just expand on that thought because then you see, believe it or not, you're going to hear your name probably in other shows that we have because I remember the stuff that you said, and later on it'll just come up and things just come out of my mouth, and that's the way things go.
Well, that's good. That's called a frame of reference. That's great.
Yeah, exactly. We try to have good people on the show, and you're doing something great, and I think it's really awesome how you do everything. Now, I want listeners to understand that you can guide them to who to use for ticketing and everything, but you're not actually selling the tickets for them.
No, I don't.
Okay, you don't get involved in the end of the business. That's something that they need to do themselves. They need to produce the flyers and certain things they need to do themselves that you won't do.
Right, and I can guide them on all that, and I can let them know what they have to do and that's pretty much in the contract too, that I will provide from the artist all the marketing materials like photos and bios and all the appropriate promo materials. Mm-hmm. But they have to get them done, unless it's a tour like the Fogarty date I did last May. They had a certain thing, and you had to call this number and buy your promo from them. But of course, that's all per show and different per show. So that's the kind of stuff they'll know ahead of time too.
Yeah, that's interesting. But it's good that you help them through everything from beginning to
I don't let anything slip. Nothing. They'll know everything. Nothing will blow up in our faces later if I'm on the job.
Okay, this is not just only for musicians. You can actually book comedians and
absolutely.
and whatever they need for that event, you can book it because you're producing the concert and you do everything from A to Z, where the fundraisers or the organizations or even the private entities, they don't have to worry about, well, did they bring the flowers or this and that? You handle everything. And I think that is awesome. Katrina.
And unless it's flowers for a dressing room, I wouldn't, if it's for their gala dinner, I don't do that part either. Some people think I pick the silverware for the dinner. No. It's just the celebrity stuff I do. So
the
they know that too. Yeah,
but
some people do think that. Although I have been known to help set up tables during a sound check for dinner.
No,
I'm just sitting there. I might as well.
No, you're not doing any of that stuff. But basically.
No, I do. If I see people putting chairs around tables for the dinner while the sound check's going on, and I'm there anyway, I'll start setting tables.
Oh my God!
I like working. So.
Look. All I'm saying is that if anyone out there listening, if you haven't hired Starlink Productions, you're doing yourself a disservice. Great organization, great people, and you just heard from this show. Katrina, I want to thank you so much for coming on the UCW radio show. You enlightened us on what you're doing and how the difficulty or the hurdles in producing concerts. And again, and one thing that I didn't mention, maybe I should have mentioned, I should have got more in depth with during the show, but people that are listening to this show right now have to understand that you created Starlink Production. This is your baby. You built it. Okay.
Right.
Yet another, woman coming out, bursting on the scene, and building an empire for all intents and purposes, and that's fantastic. We have, and I'll just end on this note that we have a woman that's in New England, and just like you, she got into entertainment, but in the mixed martial arts part of it, and she started her own organization. And I think it's fantastic because, in some areas of entertainment, you have like a lot of males dominating something, but it shouldn't be about male or female. It should just be about business. But obviously you do your business better than the bad guy. We don't like that guy too much.
Good anybody is better than bad anybody, right?
Yeah, exactly. But Katrina, again, thank you. I want to let our listeners know, give the website again. That's starlinkproductions.com. Go there, find out more about Katrina, find out more about the organization, what they do, and if you can't find what you need on that site, then listen to this show. It'll be online for I think forever, where you can go to it and you can reference it because a lot of good information was brought in here. Katrina, thank you again, and we hope
Thank you for inviting me, Lou.
Oh, you're welcome. We hope to have you on again down the road, as I know that you're gonna create a lot of great things as you continue to build your company. I know you've been doing it for some time, but still, I know you have goals that you want to achieve, and I know that you're going to achieve them because you are a great person.
Thanks, Lou. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. You have a good day.
Initiating shutdown sequence.
What is your major malfunction? So let it be written. So let it be done.
Ladies and gentlemen, my mother thanks you, my father thanks you, my sister thanks you, and I thank you.